Hey guys, and welcome to the PT exercise series. I'm super stoked about this because this is in my comfort zone. I've been a PT for almost 25 years, and in that time I've learned a lot about exercise and I guess different age groups and things like that, how to challenge people. So I'm hoping to bring this together in a way that will help you no matter what age you are. Certainly our exercise ability changes as we age, and we need to think about things differently than when from 20 to 60. That's a big gap. So there's things that we need to focus on, but this workout plan that I've put together is one that really will fit any group. You can adjust it to fit where you are in your own journey. So let's dive right in. I want to talk to you about the 5 components of a good workout. First of all, you always need to warm up. Before you do any kind of exercise, you need to make sure that you've got the blood pumping, that you've got muscles warmed up, because you're more apt to injure yourself if the muscles are cold and you start doing something really hard. So it's just super important that we warm up and get the blood pumping. Next, after you've warmed up, I would lead right into the most difficult part of the workout. So in this section, I put cardio or strength. So in this area, you're going to do something. You can do an intense cardio. You can do a HIIT workout, like a little short, something where you're going back and forth between cardio and strength. You can kind of combine those. Or you can break it up and do like a 10-minute run on the treadmill and then go lift some weights for the upper body. So this section can be divided into several different sets of exercises, whatever you're wanting to work on for the day. And we'll talk a little more about that when I give some examples. Third, you need to work on your balance. I don't care if you're 20 and can walk a tightrope, or if you're 65 and you're at risk for falls. Everybody needs to focus a little bit on balance your whole life. And in that way, as we age, it comes more gracefully, right? So it's super important that we keep a check on our balance, especially as we age, and that we're doing things to challenge our balance. Because the balance consists of many systems in the body. It's not just your muscles working. Your brain gives a lot of, you're getting a lot of input up to the brain, and your vestibular system, which has got to do with your inner ear. So there's a lot of systems involved with that we need to keep fine-tuned. And if we lose it, it sure is hard to get it back. I have experienced that with a lot of patients over the years. Inside your workout, there's a few things, and I'm going to show you lots of examples of ways that you can work on little balance activities that take maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Fourth, I think every workout needs core. Every workout we do, and we're going to have a whole video about core coming up, but I think every workout session that you do needs to have a little bit of core work, because those muscles are so important to everything we do and to help prevent all kinds of injuries, that we need to be working on them kind of constantly to keep them going. And then finally, we need to cool down. We need to stretch. I personally think that stretching is best done at the end of your workout, after you've warmed up, you've worked, and the muscles are now more pliable and you can more easily stretch. And that's when you're going to get the best length out of the muscle. That can be easily done with a specific stretching routine or just a simple quick yoga flow. So you can perform this set 3 to 4 times a week, but use this template to perform upper body, lower body, cardio, all kinds of combinations. One thing I see people fall into with their routine is they get caught up in doing the same exercise. They go to the gym, they run on the treadmill, they lift a few weights. Very quickly, our bodies will accommodate to that, and it keeps you from building strength or moving forward with your workout. So I think our bodies constantly need to have a change or an adjustment that it's having to make that causes it to improve. And when I'm seeing a patient and progressing them, that's how that works. You come in one time and we do a simple set of exercises. Well, the next time I may add 2-pound weights, or we may switch to standing. It's a constant shift that makes the muscles and the input keep the brain guessing what we're doing, and that forces change. And what we're hoping to gain out of our workouts is change in our body, change in our muscles, and improvement in the balance system and in our core. So keep the body guessing. Don't give it the same thing every time. We talked a little bit about aging. This is where I see the biggest shift is people trying. I think you can start an exercise program at any age. Let me just say that right up front. But I just want you to understand that it's not, you can't start at the same level or just join into a fitness class at 65. You've got to work to build up to that level of exercise. I think that's where a lot of people get discouraged when they start trying an exercise program. If you've never exercised in your life, you're not going to be able to go in and do an hour, intense workout with a group. You're going to be discouraged. You're going to maybe even feel embarrassed because you can't keep up. So start where you are. And I'm hoping that with this template and us talking through some different choices, you'll kind of see that if you'll start low and build yourself up, it's not going to take any time at all till you're able to do the harder things that you want to do. It's important that you listen to your body. You always hear people say, no pain, no gain. That is so not true. Of course, that keeps me in business, so maybe I shouldn't share that. If you feel pain, that's your body's way of saying, whoa. Your body's saying you're pushing too far. There's nothing wrong with a challenge or a burn in the muscle because that shows that there's going to be change. But if you're pushing to pain, then that's too far. And I always tell my patients that we're fine as long as we're just feeling the burn. But if we ever start to feel pain, then we need to back off. So I would suggest that in your own routine. And if you have soreness that lasts more than a couple of days, that's too much. You can have soreness the day after or delayed onset, which would be the second day after. But if you're still sore a week after you did a routine, you really overdid it. I mean, your body it's just not normal. That is not normal soreness. So you've got to listen to what your body's saying. And if you feel like you've, got a lot of soreness or strain and pain, then perhaps you need to consult somebody. Go see a healthcare professional and talk to them about that, or back off and let your body settle down. If you continue to push at that level, you're going to create inflammation. And when you create inflammation, that's going to lead to more chronic pain, which causes you to quit. That's what causes people to quit exercise. They push too hard out of the gate, and then they can't continue. So it's really important to know where your starting point is. And we're going to talk about some examples today. Okay, so we've got our mat set up, and my daughter's going to help me with some examples out of each one of these sections to give you guys an idea of how to put together a routine using these ideas. For a warm-up, we can do some really basic stuff like a simple jog in place. That kind of gets the blood pumping throughout. I would probably do this for at least 5 minutes. If you're not to a jogging level, then certainly walking is fine. But that's just a great way to get the muscles warmed up and get the body warmed up. Now, if you were going to do arms, it might be a good idea to do like some arm circles. That kind of gets the blood pumping in the upper body. And maybe even just some reaching up overhead and then out to the side. Just some different things that kind of get the blood moving into the area that you're going to work. So, depending on what workout you've got in mind, that's how you could kind of warm up for that. Now, if you were at the gym, certainly the treadmill is a great place to warm up. You can start with a walk and then gradually increase that to a jog. And depending on the length of time, I would still just keep my workout. I would keep my warm up to about a 5-minute warm up. That way you're not spending too much of your workout time doing just a warm up. Now, moving into the cardio strength section. At home, you can do a great HIIT workout. So you can start out with a plank, which is a good upper body. It's going to give you some upper body work. It's also going to give you some core work kind of combined in one here. And this is a great strength exercise on its own. You can stop. I typically have people to start out with a time plank. Start with 15 seconds. If you can't do 15 seconds, start on your knees. Show a variation of that. Let's show what the knee plank would look like. This is a great place to start if you're a beginner. So you're just in that position. So you've got a lot of support because you're on the knees, and then the upper body is working hard. So this is a great way to start, and then you just progress your time until eventually you can move into the full plank. So this is a great strength exercise. Now, another thing to do here would be to take a good brisk walk. Let's say you go walk for 20 minutes, even if it's outside. And then when you come back, you work your upper body. So we could do some push-ups. Show the position for a modified push-up. So in a modified push-up, you're on your knees and you're going to go down. Yeah. So see, she's a little weak there, and that's fine. We all have somewhere to start. But this is a great way to start building up until eventually you could do a full push-up. Also, you could do bicep curls. Take some water bottles. Yeah. And just simply do some different moves with that. Palms up is a good position to work. And then also thumbs up is a good position. So you're working different parts of your bicep muscle by changing your hand position. you can start with light, like I said, water bottles, 16-ounce water bottles, a pound in each hand, and then you'll gradually build up as that gets easier. You could also do squats. So knees apart. Let's get the form on a squat. I see so many people at the gym doing these so wrong. So a squat means you're sitting down and back in a chair. Down a little deeper, like you're going to sit down in that chair. So see how her knee and her ankle stay in alignment. That's so important. And a squat is a great exercise for strengthening the lower body. And this is what we call a closed chain. You've got your feet on the ground doing work, basically. So it's a closed chain activity. Now, another great lower body workout, if you're wanting to work on strength for the hamstrings and hip, is to be quadruped, like off hands and knees, not spread out. Like you bring your knees up under you. Yeah. Now let's do some like donkey moves.
Okay.
Donkey kicks, we call it.
I got you.
So you're bringing it from one position out, and you're getting a lot of toning in the glute area, which is where a lot of us are trying to work and tone. And this is a great open chain exercise. So it's open chain because we don't have the feet on the ground, but we're working the muscle in an open position. And these are great, simple exercises. Now, let's go ahead and roll over on your back. Let's go even more basic. If you're an absolute beginner and all of this seems a little overwhelming, let's straighten one leg out. She's done a lot of these. A straight leg raise. Toe is back, if you'll notice. That engages the muscle right around your knee. So this is going to work the big muscle in the front of your thigh called the quad. And I'm going to guarantee you this. You may be able to do 100 squats, but you might try to do this straight leg raise and find that it's hard. It's a great way. It's a great way to not substitute. What happens to us a lot in the gym is we're doing these combination exercises which allow us to cheat. And by cheat, I mean you think you're working a muscle that you're not. So you think you're doing squats for your butt when in reality you're substituting other muscles because you don't have good form or because you're weak in a certain area. These exercises here will actually isolate out all the specific muscles, and you may find you get some good toning from this. You can add ankle weights to make it a little harder, but it's a great way to work out. Now, one more thing. Now, one more good one is just a simple, what we call a bridge. So you're going to bring your heels in towards your butt. Yeah. Now, you can do this in several positions. You can do it like this as just a basic bridge. Now, another way you can do it is be on your heels. Yeah. And that's going to isolate the hamstrings a little more. And so you can have bands. If you have bands, you've seen a lot of people working with bands around the legs. If you put bands around and pull your knees apart, you're going to work the hip muscle a little more on the outside of the leg. You can also squeeze a ball between the knees, and that's going to activate the muscles in the inner hip a little more. So tons of variations on all of this, but it's a great basic place to start. So that kind of gives you lots of ideas for the cardio section. Now, next is balance. So we're going to hop up. Now, if you are new to balance and have never really done a whole lot of balance work, the best place to start is what we call a single leg stance. So you're going to balance your weight on one leg. Now, most of my people, you should be able to hold this on average for 30 seconds. That's really a key thing. If you can't hold that for 30 seconds, that's not normal balance. So I would simply start with that particular move. Now, if you want to make that harder, if you can do that really easily, then you're going to start adding some movement with that. So you can move the opposite leg. Go back, side, and front. So this is a little more challenge. Your weight is shifting over the single leg. And that's causing it to have to work a lot harder. Now, another thing you can do is balance the weight on one leg and move your arms. So you could simply go reach up, reach out, and maybe go to the side. All of that challenges you. Now, if you have a partner, another great advancement here is to throw a ball. So if you have someone that you can pitch and catch a ball with, that really makes you, it throws off your balance, and you're concentrating on catching the ball, and you're having to really rely on your strategy for balance. Now, once all of this got really easy, If you had a piece of foam you could stand on, that challenges you even more. If you're at the gym, most gyms have BOSU. That's a great balance activity. You could actually stand on that with both legs and catch and toss a ball. That's a great balance activity. But just remember that anything you do that challenges you, that's uneven or unsteady, that's going to work your balance. So here's some other moves that she's been having to do in therapy for her knee, but just reaching and bending, that's a really difficult balance. And if you add foam with that, that's even harder. So you can make this as easy or as hard as you need to. But I think it's important that every workout contain a little bit of activity like this. Now, if you wanted to combine this with some strength, hold some weights. Hold a couple of, 3 to 5 pound weights in your hands. Do some curls or reach down with the weights, and that's going to give you a little extra work. Now, let me just tell you my story. While we're getting set up for core, she's going to go ahead and get back down on her back. And I am 49 years old. And about a year ago, I realized that I could not stand on one foot long enough to put my pants on. That was pretty alarming because it's not something that I realized was happening, but I had gotten tight and I had lost a lot of my balance. You should be able to balance on one foot long enough to put your foot in your pants. So that's a good little test, no matter how old you are, to whether or not you have good balance. Now, the older we get, we're going to naturally lose balance, but I mean, there's some everyday activities that we have to have balance for, and that's just one example. All right, we're going to move in a little bit for core. So core, when we talk about core, which we're going to go in depth on next week, we're talking about muscles, your abdominal muscles, your back muscles, and your pelvic floor muscles. All of this comprise what we call the core. Now, the core is super important to be able to perform balance for one thing, but also to help prevent injury. All right, so let's just talk about a few things that you can do for your core. Now, some of these look super simple, but I challenge you to try them. I've had grown men that work construction jobs that had problems completing 20 reps of these exercises. First, it's called a pelvic tilt. What you're going to do is you're going to squeeze your butt, which causes your pelvis to tilt back. You're not lifting, you're simply tilting. Hold for a count of 5 and release. Your goal is to work up to doing 20, but it's great core work. So the next one is to add in what we call abdominal bracing, which is kind of what you just did with the pelvic tilt, with some other movement. This is actually one of my favorites, and I've actually had older ladies that came in for their back tell me that this improved their bladder function. So as we age, as women especially, we lose strength in our pelvic floor and we get leakage, and that's not fun. Tilting back, and then you can take a pillow. You don't even have to have any fancy equipment. A ball works, but you're just going to hold that. So you're tilting and holding for a count of 5 and then release. And this is really a pretty challenging exercise. This is the one where I've had men look at me and go, really? And then when we actually did the exercise, they were like, at 10, they're like, that's starting to burn. So this activates muscles in a way that you're perhaps not doing it now. All right. And then another great core exercise. Okay, so this is just actual TheraBand. A lot of people have the little bands they use to work out at home, and that's fine too. But you're going to lace that around, and we're going to get it pretty snug. So I tie it really tight. Now, she's going to hold this position. The key is holding the stomach muscles tight, and then the knees come apart about hip width. Just like that. It's a bracing exercise. And that's the key to all of the core work that we do, is to brace. You're making muscles brace and hold. So the pelvis is not moving here, but the legs are moving. And all the exercises you build from this are that very same thing. And that's the basis of Pilates. It's a lot of movement while bracing your core muscles. But if you're like me and not really ready for a full Pilates class, these are great exercises to start as a foundation. And before you know it, you'll be seeing a lot of improvement in your strength and doing a lot more advanced exercises. Now let's turn over on your back. Okay. So you're going to want a towel roll or a small pillow to rest your forehead. And arms are up overhead like Superman. and you're going to alternate. It's called a swimmer. So you're lifting one, hold the stomach in. So you're not wanting the pelvis to be rocking. You're wanting to activate the lower back. Actually, it's called the erector spinae. That's the muscles we're activating here. This is great for posture, but it's really good for the back muscles. So it strengthens the small muscles around our spine that are often overlooked, and that's how we end up with injury. So you would work on this. Now, you could begin to work on a hold, so hold up for a count of 10. And then release, and then switch. I personally like the alternating back and forth because I think it kind of keeps the muscles guessing. All right, so that's kind of a little preview of some core muscles. Now, certainly we can make this harder, much harder. A plank is a great core exercise like we did in the beginning. This is one you see a lot in yoga where you're doing alternating. So you're extending the arm and leg. Stomach's in, not rocking at all, being very still. And say it's challenging. It's challenging for her, and she's been doing some hard workouts recently. But you're just really focused on pulling those stomach muscles in to brace the pelvis and minimize rocking in the pelvis as much as possible. So that's another advancement on those. So there's tons and tons of ways to advance these exercises. I would say do about 3 to 5 really good core exercises every time you work out. Make sure that you do a combination of things for your abdominals, but don't forget your back muscles. A lot of times people are really focused on getting a thin abdomen or a skinny belly, but they forget about their back muscles, which are part of our postural support. Now, finally, after you've done all of this, you're ready for flexibility. So this is a great time to stretch. So let's just do a quick yoga flow. It's a great way to stretch. Let's do start in a down dog. So here we're getting some hamstring stretch, kind of do some bicycling there, and let the one calf stretch and the other calf bend. And then she's going to bring her her feet up to the hands. Good. And then she's going to come up and she's going to open up wide, and that's going to give her a good stretch through the chest. Come down, forward fold, halfway lift. Hold that. That's a good stretch for your neck and your upper back. Back down, touch the floor, and then hop back to down dog. And then we're stretching again. You can do just a simple yoga flow like that. Do that, repeat that a few times, and you've done a good stretch. Or you can do some isolated stretching. So, and we're going to have a whole video about different stretches for specific muscle groups, so we can check that out then. So I did want to point out that she has done some yoga, is a little more advanced there, but I do not hop, I step. So you can take a couple of steps or a big step up to the front, and that is a lot easier on the knees if you're getting, if we're having some knee issues. Now step back, show them how that looks. So you're doing one at a time. So it keeps it very low impact. I prefer that myself at the age I am, and I have a knee issue, so this is a lot better for me. As a wind up, this is a pretty lengthy video, but I'm hoping you guys are getting a lot out of this. It's a great template. You can use this template to make a really advanced hour workout. Just each section is built up as much as you need it to be. Or if you have 20 minutes, you can take each section and divide it out into some small increments and still be able to hit every section. So just take the time, whatever time you've got. It doesn't take a lot of equipment, but you can certainly get a lot of benefit out of using this exercise template. I hope this was helpful to you guys. This is where my passion kind of is. I do want to remind you, as always, anytime you're going to start a new workout routine, you need to consult your doctor. Make sure that you don't have any issues and that the doctor clears you in all ways to be able to perform an exercise program or to change things up, because that's really important. So I hope you found this helpful. If you did, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. We're going to have a whole series in the next few weeks posting about all kinds of exercise. See you next time.